Okay, we should be recording, hopefully going out to Facebook and YouTube. So just want to welcome everybody to the gathering. And wow, I'm just super excited. I'm blessed. A lot of tremendous things going on, a lot of changes going on, and we've got some changes in our community that have been great opportunities for us to show love and support for John and Evelyn. John has gone through major heart surgery. He evidently wasn't satisfied with a quadruple. He had to go for a fifth tuple, whatever that is called. I don't know how that is actually said. Quin something. But quintuple? Yeah. So, yeah. Wow. Well, we're just glad that he's in recovery and doing well, but in a lot of pain, I understand. Correct, Evelyn? Yeah. Well, you're in the control seat today for John. Awesome. In the captain's chair. Oh, that's right. Let me do that right now, and then we'll all right. Well, hey, so we just had our retreat last weekend, and let me tell you, it was absolutely, every retreat that we've done here has been like over the top and over the top and over the top. And, there was just absolutely powerful, wonderful breakthrough for everybody. And we even met last night to just talk about how incredible what we went through in the retreat and how it shifted us and changed us. And now, this week, here we are a week later, and we're still kind of processing the things that we went through, and we each had our own beautiful experience. And so it was absolutely life-changing. That's all I can say. And for me, it was a big ego break. I've kind of thought that I had my ego, pretty small already, and it's kind of shown how I didn't. And anyway, it's just really powerful, really incredible. And part of what came out of that time together was this conversation, a little bit of conversation here and there, where we were facing some people were facing some pretty challenging fears. And we just, as we were processing it, just realizing, these 4 steps that are really necessary when we want to step into a full maturity. And so what came out of it was the article that I wrote. And if any of you want to see the whole article, it is on Facebook right now, on my profile and on my page. And that's what we're going to be discussing here this morning. But it's called Transmuting Fear into Love, a Pathway to Freedom. So I wrote that this week, posted it, and you're welcome to read that if you want to go into the article that has spawned what we're going to talk about this morning. Lots of beautiful things going on. So we're moving forward with the Pearl. The Pearl is actually becoming a church. It is a church, actually, under a 508, and yet we have some very different understandings of what church is and looks like. As we move forward, it's going to be a space and a place. In fact, we're ready to receive up to 1 or 2 people if they wanted to come for a weekend or a week or a month, just to be loved on. And, there's a lot of people that struggle with hatred for themselves and just not loving themselves and just not really able to step into the fullness of being able to be and just know that you can be and be loved, and you don't have to be worried and concerned about what everybody else thinks about you or if you're doing things right or wrong. All of that can be left to drift away and not have to engage with it, because the fact is God loves you 100%. He always has and always will. There's not a thing that you could ever do that would cause his love to be any less than. And that is the matrix is what's just really, really torn that apart for so many people. And we've all been told we needed to look a certain way or to be a certain way, measure up a certain way. And let me tell you, that is all a bunch of bunk. And God loves you right where you're at. And if you're tuned in, and that's what we want to do, continue to do here, it's what we've done here, is just continue to help people understand that you have a direct connection to God. And that He living in you is literally all you need. Now, at the same time, He uses community, He uses people, circumstances, you name it. He'll use a lot of things to give you the opportunities to grow, which we all get. And just speaking of all that, on 11/11, this last Tuesday, my new book came out, which is Breaking Your Matrix. And I encourage you, if you haven't got a copy, go, again, Facebook is where I got most of the stuff. Just go to Facebook. You'll find a link somewhere on Facebook where you can get a copy. And or you can actually go to my website, gilhodgesfreedom.com, and you'll find a link there to take you to Amazon and get the new book. It will be the extension of the Inner Circle choice groups that we've been doing. And it's going to take us into a lot more, literally, kind of step-by-step, manual process of things that you can try, things you can experiment with, tools you can look at and use to help break out of the matrix, to help you wake up for all the programming that you've been put under, wake up to that, and then to begin to dismantle it. So I think it's a very powerful book. I've already got 2 interviews that have done. People asked me to come on their show to talk about the book. One person got the book, read the book, then reached out to me. They were a speed reader, literally, and was very excited to have me on there. And it was a great program. That is also on Facebook and YouTube. You can see either one of those if you want to. The other one I haven't seen yet. I haven't seen it come out, the other interview. But really encourage you to grab a copy of that and just start looking at it, and then maybe join one of the groups. I'll be starting new groups in January, but we already have a waiting list put together because it will be limited space as usual. And if you want to do that, go to the website, look for it. You'll see it there. You can sign up for the inner circles or the groups, and yeah, let's go deeper. Let's keep going deeper. Anybody got anything they want to share before we kind of dive into the topic? John, go ahead. Oops. They're going to be on Wednesdays. So I'm going to start 2 new groups in January. One will be at noon Central Time, and the other will be at 7 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, so trying to set it up so we can get people from Europe, and I know that, or not Europe, Europe, yes, but in South Africa they run into the problem of the time change, and they don't change times, and it gets too late for some people there. So I moved it up to noon so that when we start then, we'll hopefully not lose our Canadian folks, or excuse me, Canadian, I'm looking at Dorette. We won't lose our oh, thank you. Appreciate that. We won't lose our people in South Africa and some of the other places that don't do the time change with us. So, all right, again, anybody else? Good question, John. Thank you. All right. Well, go ahead. Debbie?
Just real quickly, one of the new people, Keegan, said, Bob Marley said, Yah provide the bread, how can we let them? I'm not sure what the question is, but since John or anyone says you want me to do that, help me read some of the things I'm glad to do.
Please, yeah, and I also got Facebook and YouTube going as well, so I'm going to try to keep an eye on those a little bit. If anybody's over on Facebook and YouTube and has a question or comment, go ahead and post it, and I think somebody will see it eventually. But yeah, cool. Well, so y'all provide the bread. How can we let him? I don't know exactly the question that you're asking there, Keegan, and you're welcome to come on and ask it yourself if you like, and explain a little bit if you want to. But to me, the "how can we let him" is the my whole mantra, which is let go and flow. Because there's so many things, so many times that we are trying so hard to get something or to do something or to be something that we already have, that we already are, and we just don't know it. And if we would just stop fighting that, fighting and trying to make things happen, we can actually relax our way right into bliss. I mean, right into knowing that everything's okay. Everything going on out here in the world does not have to affect what's going on in here. And that's where we have been programmed to think that all of that out here is in control, and we let it control this in here. You don't have to let it control in here. You are the only one with the power of choice. There's no way around that. There's no way around that thought that you are the only one that can choose whether or not you let that affect you. Now, it's not an overnight thing. It is a practice. We do have to practice it. And as we practice it, you will learn more and more the power that you have to choose whether or not you want to let that affect you. And I love Viktor Frankl. He's the one that spent the time in the concentration camps. And he wrote on this extensively about how the power that he realized he had, that no matter what was going on around him, where people were dying and his friends were dying and there was so much trauma everywhere, he realized he could hold within himself a space of peace and rest and love. We all have that ability. We do have to make the choices to go there, though. And if it's a process. That is a work to do. That is a work to do, to choose. And for, again, a lot of people, it's very hard because of the programming that they've been put under. They're convinced that they don't have that choice. And that partly is, again, the reason for the book, Breaking Your Matrix. It's helping for people to wake up, to break that programming that's told you that. June, go ahead. Good to see you. No, there you go. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You will overcome. Yes. He calls us overcomers. So we will overcome each contradiction. It's not, okay, I have 6 more contradictions to overcome and then I reach it. No, we will continually. But we're strengthened through each one, and we have to keep that mindset, I am an overcomer. Yeah. Hmm. So they're not going to stop. Right. Yeah, and that's something that we go over in the inner circle, is that the challenges are here for us to grow. I believe we all chose to come here, and we chose to come here because we are growing and we want to grow further and deeper in love. So it is definitely something that we are all here to encounter, are the challenges. So it's a beautiful, beautiful process. And, I'm learning to see the beauty in the agony, the beauty in the trauma, the beauty in so many things that we say we dislike. See, dislike is a preference, You dislike something, you dislike it because it doesn't meet your preference. Well, what if you could let go of your preference? It doesn't mean that we don't have them, okay? So we all have them. We've gone over this. In fact, we've gone over it a lot in the inner circle. We really dig into this. But to understand that we all have preferences and beliefs and expectations and feelings, and these things, they will, if you allow them, they will get in the way of your own happiness. But you, as a maturing believer, have the ability to choose to let them go when it seems like it's the right thing to do. If you have something that you want to do that is very important to you, but it doesn't meet my expectations or doesn't fit my preferences, I can choose to be upset and angry and frustrated because you're not meeting my expectations, or I'm not getting what I want. Or I can let those go in love and appreciate you and the fact that you're going to get your preference and that you're going to get what you expected. And that's a beautiful thing. If we were all living in that place and space, it would be extremely challenging to offend one another. And that to me is the direction that, with the Pearl and these groups, I want to see everybody moving into the direction where you're unoffendable. And it's the distractions of this world are enormous. There are so many. There's a frustration of mine coming out. There's so many distractions to keep us from focusing on love. And love is the foundation and the basic piece and part that until we have actually mastered that, the signs, wonders, and miracles that are spoken of, they're going to at best be salt and pepper here and there. But Jesus walked into them all the time because he had mastered love. And that's the goal to me. That's the direction, is that we are moving toward a fullness and a wholeness of love. And so that brings us into, I'll go ahead and jump into the topic, transmuting fear into love. So fear is the kind of the opposite of love, right? Because perfect love casts out all fear. They cannot coexist. They cannot exist together. But, so we got into a conversation this last weekend about we should be transmuting that fear into love, not casting it out, not, beating it up, not, because if you're beating it up, you're basically just fighting fire with fire. You're fighting darkness with darkness. If you're beating it up, tearing it apart, slicing it up, dicing it up, you're basically just, you're entering into that same space of that anger and frustration and retaliation and revenge. You're just entering into the dark space with it. So the ultimate is that we would then be able to exist in a place where you are engaged so strongly with perfect love that at that place you can actually not necessarily invite it in. I don't know that you'd want to invite it to come. But when stuff comes, and when you have a fear that arises, and you recognize it, and you're operating in perfect love, that you would be able to stop for a moment and recognize it, identify it, and then invite it to shift its energy and turn into a place of love and transformation. But if you read through those 4 steps, it's very important to understand that if you are enmeshed in the fear, okay, so if you are enmeshed in the fear, it comes to you and it's got control. The fear has control over you. It's got you dialed into anxiety. It's got you dialed into where you're kind of out of control. That's not a place, you're not in a place of perfect love to be trying to transmute it. You need to just go ahead and cast it out. You do have that authority. Luke 10:19, Jesus says very clearly, I have given you all power and authority over the enemy. So you have that ability. It is yours. It is your choice. If you allow it to operate in you, again, it's because you've given it the permission. You've agreed with it. And so only until we wake up and realize, I don't want to be in agreement with that. Wait a minute, I do have the power. Okay, I'm going to exercise it. And let me tell you, exercising it, again, is not an overnight success thing. It took me weeks and months. And I literally yelled and cussed and screamed at these things because I wanted them out of my life. And I finally got the victory. I overcame them by fighting fire with fire. But as I've continued to grow, I'm in a place now that when fear does come, I'm not overcome by it at all in any way, shape, or form, that at least not recently, And when it does come, rather than having to cast it out, I can actually invite it to come if it wants to be shifted and changed. So, June, go ahead.
Well, I agree with what you're saying, Bill. Everything we share doesn't mean we'll reach that
Right.
Right.
Definitely.
One thing that really helped me was realizing that God is the God of the heavens and He's given the earth command. God is not in control. He's given us the control.
Hmm.
Once I realized that, and there's circumstances down here. We are here to overcome the circumstances,
Mm-hmm.
bring heaven on earth. That is why we're here. To make earth like the kingdom of heaven by overcoming. He's given us everything we need to live that godly, overcoming life.
Yeah.
We just need to remember it. So when I realized, well, God gave me this illness or something because He's teaching me, I would spend so much time trying to figure out what He's trying to teach me. And once I released and realized He isn't causing all this, He doesn't cause these birth defects, He doesn't cause old age. It's, well, nature, the earth is just groaning to be released
Yeah. Yeah.
by all of us. So
It's
He's
good.
not doing it. He's given us everything we need to overcome, just like the scripture you said. So
Mm-hmm.
that's made it easier for me not to fear.
Yeah.
People still fear God.
Right. And I think it's also important for us to understand that He's not standing up there with a big stick and, whacking us every time, we make what we think is a mistake or what society tells us is a mistake or our parents tells us are a mistake. No, He's up there just empowering us, cheering us, because it does say that He will restore all things. Well, how does He do it? Like you said, I believe a great deal of it is done in and through us. And maybe all of it is going to be done in and through us. The restoration of all things. That's a big one. It's really a big one. And to understand that you have all power and authority is really, really quite amazing when you think about it. Quite amazing. John, go ahead. Right. And He transmutes it into good. Yeah. No. Yeah. 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 Yeah, and I love these conversations where you're open to share whatever you want to share, but also be open to hear somebody else's point that might be opposed to your point. Yeah, and it's not about right or wrong. It's about sharing different, thoughts and opinions so that we can all look at it. And ideally, when we're all operating in love, that we're all searching for truth. And when we can put those different viewpoints out there to one another and not be offended that somebody's, countering my, thought or my pattern, that actually we're simply understanding that, oh, here's another viewpoint. Let's take this into consideration now. Because then we really get a chance to get down to the truth rather than snuffing out anything that doesn't look like what I think. And that's been the problem for the last 2 millennia or more. So yeah, it's beautiful. So just a couple of things there. We talked a couple of weeks about this whole thing of God in control, and it's like, okay, just the distinction between there's certain things that God, there's a difference. Let me say it this way: there's a difference between what God can't do and what God won't do. Big difference, because I believe that He can do anything. With God, all things are possible. He could, with a snap of His fingers, just disintegrate this entire universe, I believe. He could, but I'm pretty sure He won't, He has given us authority in this realm, and that authority that He's given us is that power of choice. And to me, because we have choice, is the reason we have evil. And again, it's just the contrast of God knowing that without giving us total freedom and total freedom to choose, without His manipulation, that is the only way that we would ever know that there is true love, that God truly is allowing us and wanting us to love Him and love one another of our own free choice, not because we've been manipulated and programmed to love Him. So the fact that we have evil, to me, in some ways could be looked at as a blessing, that it's actually the proof that we're not programmed to love Him. But then the beautiful thing is love never fails, and He says He's going to basically pursue us through the end of time, and there's nothing that could ever take us away from Him, and that eventually He wins everyone because all things are restored. And that's a beautiful ending. And that's our God. Go ahead, John. Mm, mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not real. It's not like you believe that God is all power. There is no other power than God, like Jesus said to Pilate. You have no other power unless it's given to you from the Father.
Right.
So that's another way of looking at it. That Jesus said, don't resist evil. And she could come to history and she termed the other church, don't resist the evil. But what you perceive as evil.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I...
Yeah. Yeah, and if we are operating in an extremely high level of love, that when someone would come at us to physically harm us, and again, it's going to depend on where you're at. And again, there's no condemnation or judgment. I'm not going to be condemning and judging one person for, responding with force against them to self-defend and all that. I'm not going to blame anybody for that. But I do believe, not that I act this way, okay? I don't necessarily respond this way, but I do believe that the higher response would be that if someone came to me and just wanted to beat me to a pulp, I would just let them, because I don't have any fear. I'm not worried about what's going to happen to me. What I would be doing if I were in that high place of love is I would be just continually giving them love as they do it, in hopes that they might get a breakthrough, in hopes that there might be a breakthrough that they would see. Now, that's if I were operating in that high level. It doesn't mean I'm operating there, okay?
At the same time, you don't want to let somebody make you be a doormat.
Right, yeah, exactly. So that's back to one of the foundational pieces of what we're doing here at the Pearl, is teaching people to love themselves well. Because when you love yourself well, you're not a doormat, but you're, so yeah, there's so many different questions that go in between. And that's why we can't judge and condemn somebody else for their reason, the way they respond, because that's their journey, you know? And is it a mistake? I'm starting to get to a place where I don't know that there are mistakes. There's just learning opportunities.
Sometimes love is more.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't do that.
yeah. That's good. Thanks, John. Janine and Kelly.
Yeah, I completely agree that I actually really believe, there's so many layers to all of the realms and dimensions of reality, and there
Yeah.
is some level of truth at all of them, right?
Right.
But from the higher perspective, or from one of the higher perspectives, because we don't know that it's even the highest perspective. Um, we don't know, right?
Right.
The reality is, I mean, this comes down to even the simplest things, like, well, pretty much anywhere that my pre-programmed self-protective personality wants to step up and push back. Now, I'm not saying, like you said, that I wouldn't, like, if I was out in a grocery store and some stranger punches me, we have an issue. You know what I mean? Like, there's a problem. Like, but if I'm in a relationship and I'm wanting to know what love looks like and wanting to live from that space of not resisting, because we do know that what we resist, it simply persists. We just create more of it. So, like, what do we want to create in our relationship? So this could go either way. He is not going to resist me, and I am not going to resist him, and that comes down to some really fine moments. I'm seeing more and more resistance pop up in me, and I'm calm and I'm peaceful. It is still resistance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
But
know
that's,
what I mean?
yeah, and it's so beautiful to be awakened that deeply
Yeah.
to see it and sense it. Mm-hmm.
It's and we cannot afford to judge.
Right.
We just can't. Judging locks things into place. It holds things down. It actually slows down that gorgeous flow that you were saying, where in the end, Father will win every heart.
Yeah.
But we have been given an impact on how that goes and what that looks like and how that unfolds. And I know for me, I feel, and it's not like I have the answers on how you do this. So I'm just saying, I like you. I can see where we're going. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that's where I'm functioning right this second.
Right. But we're going that way.
But we are, and we can see it.
Yeah.
Release the judgment. I spend half of my time just going, I'm releasing that too.
Yeah.
That too.
Yep. Yeah.
Because what you're showing me is that we're inside of time, so we see things kind of in stop motion.
Yeah.
Like, we keep coming to conclusions when it's not complete.
Well, and we certainly don't have the story of the other person or what's going on or where they're at in their journey.
Do not,
Yeah.
and we can ask, though. We can say, Father, what do you see right now? What does love look like right now? What is your thought on that?
Yeah.
That space. I mean, for where I'm at now, those are really good questions. I
Yeah.
understand I am one with Yahweh, and I can trust Christ in me, whatever that looks like.
And see, and what we're talking about right here is unconditional love. You get that word thrown around in so many places and spaces, and it's really, I'm sorry, but most people in places that talk about unconditional love are not really talking about unconditional love. It's it's usually, well, it's unconditional love as long as you're in my box.
Right. Tell you what I'm going to tell you what unconditional love looks like.
Right. It is. It is. And it's like, oh, you stepped outside of my box a little bit there. Judgment already. Yeah.
I just sit in God, like we have said so many times, if God is all powerful, and we know they are,
Mm-hmm.
they and we in them, because we were in them,
Mm-hmm.
they chose us in Him, like we came out of His substance. That's
Mm-hmm.
just, if you want to go that way,
Yeah.
about manifestation. Here we are worried about man, and we are going to learn, but we're going to learn relationally, not by some broken up principles.
Yes.
Follow these
Yeah.
10 steps and you'll manifest your dream life. It isn't. It's
Yeah.
relational. But they are, and always have been, and always will be, focused on exactly what they intended to create from the beginning. And everything we see in between is just a snapshot inside of time. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and to understand, it's already done.
Exactly.
Everything is already restored. But like you said, we're in the time. We're seeing it unfold. We're in a specific spot in that whole process, and
Saying,
just
saying, taking a snapshot and going, Papa, you're not doing this thing.
yeah.
And he's, honey, you're inside of time.
Right.
It's already done.
Yes, it is beautiful. It is beautiful.
You.
Yeah. Yeah. The unconditional love is just it is truly beautiful when it can be displayed, and judgment. Well, we know that we're beginning to let it go when we can hear a different point of view, and instead of judging it for being wrong or not like mine, hopefully we face it with curiosity. And it's like, it doesn't mean you have to accept it. It doesn't have to become part of your journey. And that's where so many people get off, is thinking, oh, well, you're accepting it. Now you've gone that way. Well, so what if they did? But otherwise, let's just be curious and keep moving in love and giving people the benefit of the doubt. And even the benefit of the doubt, just think about it. It's like, do you really believe God is all powerful and all loving? And is he capable? Is there any one person that could get so far off track that in the end, God says, well, I'm perfect and I'm holy and I'm all powerful and I am able to save everyone, well, except for that one. That one, somehow, they overpowered me. I couldn't handle them.
I've been challenged recently. I've heard several times in the spirit, and this is what John Weems was saying: see everything as them.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what's coming to you; it has to come through them.
Yeah. And we've got some new people on here right now, and I just want to say, this may be way outside of your grid. I would just encourage you. You don't have to believe a word we say, but I would encourage you to just come back and continue to listen, because I think you might find that we're on a journey to experience the full love of God, whatever that looks like. We don't know, but we know, and we sense very strongly that we have the love of God in our heart. We're moving in a direction that is all encompassing to all people, and we're not judging people and pushing them aside. God doesn't. And some people, I hear over and over, it's like, well, there's going to be people that are going to go to hell. I'm like, who in their right mind would choose to go to hell? Well, it's their choice. Who in their right mind would choose to go to hell? We think that we're in this space and place where, that there'd be some people so mad, angry, frustrated that they would rather burn in hell for eternity than to shift their belief system. And then it's like, give me your hand for a moment. I want to just put it on the stove. And I want you just to imagine that you hate God so much that you'd rather have this than to maybe think about shifting your perspective. Let's try it. Here we go. How long would they last? They're not going to last long. But the whole point is just the other question that comes into to view here is, and I've asked this in groups, it's like, well, what, or who here, including Satan himself, if he exists, okay, including Satan himself, who here is wise enough to outsmart God, to win an argument with God? And if anybody's in their right mind, if everybody's in their right mind, everybody's going to say, well, no, not me. I'm not smart enough. God is everything. God is got all knowledge. There's no way we would be able to beat him in an argument or outlast him in an argument. So the fact is, he is going to be able to reason with every single one of us Whether it takes 5 minutes or 5 billion years, you've all heard me say this over and over, he's going to win. And he's not going to force anybody. He's going to be able to show you and bring revelation to you that's going to open up your eyes to understand you are loved, you are cared for, you are safe. That's our God.
You know, the reality is that the only access to that intelligence you're talking about is through intimacy and relationship and oneness with Him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not from a system and argument.
Yeah. So beautiful. Thank you, Janine.
Yeah. Well, God's more interested exactly in what you're saying.
I see my hand. It's been up
Oh.
for a long
Sorry.
time.
Go right ahead, dear.
Actually, I did not see it, Deneen. Yeah, it's right on that picture behind you. I couldn't see it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. I asked that because I was wondering if it was blending in. Debbie made me make it a black person's hand. I needed to. So now you can't see it.
All good. Oh.
But anyway, just stepping back a little bit. Denise had said something earlier that was so important, and that is, let me see, it's relationship that actually gives us the clarity, and also that is so many layers. How can we be so definitive about what is right?
Yeah.
And when John Lee was talking about what Jesus said on the Sermon on the Mount about the resisting of a person, James said to resist the devil. So here, when we have a misinterpretation of context, we can look at them as being the same thing, and they're not. The same thing, and they were two different people saying two different things for two different reasons. And just because the word resist is in there does not mean it's the same thing. Jesus said not to resist a person
Hmm.
and to turn the other cheek. But what James was saying is to resist the devil. In other words, my perspective is that I should not entangle myself in a whole bunch of conflict and argument. Jesus is part of something else. But to just engage and allow people to be free to be who they are. And if someone attacks me, then a way to win them is not to attack them back, which is the same ways. But what James was saying is what Jesus also said when he said, lead me not into temptation. If we listen, we can hear the things that are not contradictory. They are just different people saying different things at different times for different reasons. And for me, I can hear the oneness in stuff opposed to the contradictions.
Yeah.
And so when James said to resist the devil, that means don't intentionally go into trouble. Back up. If I have a choice, which I do, I don't have to engage.
Right.
So when I was listening to everyone, I was like, it's not an either or, it's an and, which is my philosophy all the time, because I am a oneness person and moving, gradually out of duality, because I'm seeing the oneness in all things. And so, and I don't ascribe to, I don't try to proselytize other people into believing that. I try to just live it. And so I just try to be a person that is constantly living in oneness, opposed to trying to convince someone that that's the way it is, that's what we should be doing. We got screwed up along the way. Program, which we have. These are true things.
Mm-hmm.
That we have been programmed to believe a particular thing. But yet and still, I believe the way to make the shift is for me to have the engagement and not have an intellectual understanding, to have an experience with, the situation and with the one who is creating the situation. Once I become one and aligned with the one who's created all things, truth starts manifesting
Right, right.
But just for the sake of conversation, when I start transmuting, it's like it's spite of me. I don't have to work for it, and it becomes work, and I think we call it work because of our resistance, and it's not
Hmm.
easy, man. Because familiarity is something that is unscary, but the more love, back to the topic of the day, the more we're operating in love, the less fear exists and the less resistance I have. And so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can become more settled in something because I am not afraid and I trust that love is more powerful than anything that exists.
Amen. Amen.
My
So
voice
good.
is
Thank you, Deneen. Love that. Hey, if anybody's on Facebook or YouTube, you're welcome to put your thoughts, comments, questions into the comment area, chat area, and we'll try to pick them up for you. All right, John, go ahead.
I just want to thank you for correcting me because I said, Jesus said, do not eat it evil. That's what God tells us. But I did say flat thing. It's a little different between not to resist evil than to resist an evil person. Because we
Yeah.
should resist evil in the flesh.
Yeah. Well, and then, we won't go there today, but there is the whole question, well, what is evil? What is Satan? What is the devil? Who is it? What is it? That's a whole other conversation for another day. Pretty deep.
Anything that brings harm, I believe. I believe that anything that brings harm that's the opposite of love, this thing that you're talking about,
Yeah.
fear, factor, I would put that in that category if we wanted to categorize it at all.
Yeah. Well, and just real briefly, we're talking about principalities and powers,
Exactly.
and principalities and powers, what we would call them today.
For another day, because
Yeah, we could go deep into it.
like
We could go deep into it for sure. Yeah, yeah. I mean, today we call them egregores. Principalities and powers, they're egregores, and I do have a chapter in my book just on egregores and the power that we've all slipped into by giving them our agreements and our power and our energy. So, June, go ahead.
Well said, Denise. I was just going to share, I don't know if I've shared this before. A friend of mine, whenever she gets in a discussion and someone has a different opinion or whatever, she's always more concerned, of course, with the relationship. That's how God is. And so when it's, escalating and they say, well, I don't believe that at all. She'll say, yes, I know.
Right. Yeah,
It's the way.
and it's okay.
It's what you were saying, Dean. It just like diffuses the whole thing. Don't retaliate back with somebody's thing. Well, I don't believe that at all. Yes, so they know they've been heard,
Mm-hmm.
not entering in. And I always think, I wish I could remember that.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. Well, let me just go through these since we did say it's 4 steps to transmuting love into fear. I'm going to just really touch on the 4 steps and then go into them a little bit more in detail. But as I'm going through these, I want you to be thinking about, your own life and, how these might fit into what you're experiencing, what you're doing, and whether other thoughts you might have to add to it. But, the whole thing is, yeah, a lot of it's just come out of my own experience in that I was tortured and tormented by demons and depression and all these things for the first 30, 40 years of my life until I realized that I was really done. And that verse, Luke 10:19, that really opened up my eyes to think about, wait a minute, I've got a choice and I'm empowering things in my own life by my agreements. And so my next step at that point was to really come against them hard. And I did for years, and I've kind of done it for quite a few years. Just really stood my ground that nothing of evil or depression or demons is going to get near me. And I've really succeeded at that, I feel, to a great degree, that, I don't fight demons anymore. I feel like they see me coming. They know that I know who I am. I'm not worth their time. And, the depression subtly comes knocking every once in a while, but as soon as I recognize it, cast that thing out. But I've been stepping further and further into this place of love. And this last weekend really put me over the top and put me into a place where I was just recognizing and realizing, wow, I'm already sitting in and operating in the fullness of love. Now, it doesn't make me perfect or anything. It just means it's available to me, put it that way. And so when I'm conscious of it and I'm awake to the fact that I am there, that when these fears come along, I don't have to judge them anymore. I don't have to try to beat them up and beat them into submission and send them away broken. I don't have to. I can actually just begin to love on them. And just loving on something that is really dark and doesn't want to come into the light, many of them are just going to run the other way anyway. But those who are open and willing and ready can be transformed and transmuted. And it's just a matter of, I'm not going to fight it. I'm not going to fight the fear. When it comes, I'm going to accept it, appreciate it, say, you're showing me something inside that I'm still connected to in some way that is allowing me to, or that is showing me that I'm not trusting my God. I'm not trusting the universe, because that's all fear is. You're not trusting what God's doing. You're not trusting that God's capable. And so when I can see that, I'm like, thank you. And then just to embrace it, and let that fear just be transmuted into a beautiful, beautiful thing of love. Now, having said all that, the steps are first to untangle from the fear. The first step is to untangle from that fear, because if you're entangled, if it's got control over you and you're totally wrapped up in anxiety and freaking out because of this fear, you're not in control at that point. Now, you can take control. It's your choice. You can let it beat the snot out of you, or you can take your authority in Luke 10:19 and just say, enough is enough. Now, for me, that really took some years of cussing and yelling at these things really hard to get them to go away. But now it gave me the space to step deeper into love, and then to realize, I'm in a place now to where I can choose to not let these fears entangle me at all. And so the first step, untangle from it first. And that's not an overnight thing necessarily. It can be. I believe all things are possible. But it's probably going to be a bit of a process of you deciding and making choices that you no longer want to be yanked around by the fear, and that you begin to step out of that. And so then the second one is inviting fear back as energy. So once you've understood that you do have all that power and all that authority, and that you can rest, then to go ahead and, after the fear has exposed itself and shown you your weakness would be the area that fear came in through in the first place, showing you where you're not trusting God, that you would go back to that place and shore it up and work with Father to engage, to actually, really build up that place so that you are trusting Him in that area. And then the third one, transmutation, turning that fear into love. So again, the love is not passive. It's the most powerful force in the spiritual realm. So I'm just going to read part of this. When I rest deeply enough in the field of love, what some would call the Christ consciousness, what others see is in the teachings of Buddha, and what I recognize as the presence that has guided my path, I can actually transform the very energy that once held me captive. And now I can bless it and just let it rest. Let it come to rest. And then the fourth and final step is living from the new agreement. So now in my relationships, there's no, when I'm living from that space, there's no fear of rejection. There's no fear of not having enough money or anything else. There's no fear of decline. There's no fear of wasted life. There's no fear of divine disappointment. All these things can just really dissipate when we begin to understand that you're operating and living in God, in Christ. And in that space, when you wake up to the fact that you're there, then you begin to release all these fears that the world's programmed you with, and just let them go, so that you can sink into the beauty of what God is doing in you and through you. And anyway, the article's there if you want to read it. There's more to it. But I just want to at least get through that so that we actually did what we said we were going to do, or I said I was going to do for the title's sake. But Janine, you had your hand up. Janine Kelly.
It was just, I just was gonna say, I love that. It's funny how there's different language from everyone.
Yeah.
My language would look different,
Mhm.
and therefore perception would look a little different. But these are all parts of our soul that are feeling these things, and it's just because they've been misprogrammed. You know, the programming has been corrupted, however you want to put that. So I've gotten to where I can see them and say, I see that fear, and I love and honor and accept you exactly as you are. You know, I invite those parts of me to come closer to the fire of God's love. And I was just going to add that for somebody that had a history of anxiety, like anxiety just on an average Tuesday standing doing dishes, and I was having to say, it's okay, it's all going to be okay, because I lived at that level all the time. What has helped me is to have the face-to-face conversation with Father about it, talk about it. We have a tendency to stay in our head and not want to take those things and literally go, I'm really scared right now, this is terrifying to me. You know, and the light of his countenance just lights up so much, right? But even beyond that, from that space, if you're in it, you can say on your character alone, I am releasing this thing to you. And that takes all the pressure off of how I feel. Because I would be constantly evaluating, oh, I must not really believe this, or I wouldn't feel the way I do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's that good. He's that big. So I just wanted to share that.
That's good. That's good. Hey, I'm looking for Norman. I don't see him on here. Norman, you are on here. There's a message that someone put on Facebook that says, it says, your participants aren't heard. There is a sound issue. So apparently Facebook is not getting any sound. And I don't know if someone could check Facebook and YouTube, see if we've got sound coming through on those. That would be great. Because if we're not, we can just stop the broadcast and we'll put up the recording later. So, yeah, it's so good. You know, and I love the fact that we just need to recognize that people are going to sometimes just put things in different language. And sometimes even the language can be a stumbling block, or it can be an open door to where my language doesn't connect with somebody and your language does. But there's really, rather than looking at how they're different, it's better to look at how, you know, we're saying the same thing but in a different way. Now, maybe we're not. But,
I think we are.
I think we are too here. Yeah.
Yeah, from what you were saying, I could hear what you were saying, and I guess I just felt, like you said, I felt to translate for whoever out there is gonna be like, wait, what? And then they hear me, and they, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and I just mean in general, though, that you know, we could all have a whole lot more peace if we just understood that most of the time we're talking about, you know, similar things, and we just need to look at how they fit together and not try to, you know, my way's better, let me show you how it's better. No. Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, Deneen has had her hand up, and you know, I was going to tell you, Deneen, it's like, you might want to shift your camera just a little bit, because I saw it's like, oh, she does have her hand up again. Go ahead.
I was changing the color. Playing with it, right?
So sorry. Go ahead.
I was thinking about how important that is for us to understand. I think amongst primarily this group, there is a level of understanding and camaraderie and maturity, or the list of labeling, say, all of these different things, right? That would have us to understand that perhaps listening, we can hear the similarities opposed I'm not afraid of difference. The
Good.
opposite. So, but I'm excited about the diversity because it really my the pull for me is the manifestation of love. The pull for me is evolving into a deeper consciousness of what my source is. So
Mm.
because that is
Mm.
my goal, anything that would distract from that is not a thing that causes me anything except excitement because it's actually making me more aware of
Yeah.
my own biases, right? Because my biases, when I get disturbed, it's because of my own biases. When
Mm-hmm.
I'm in resistance, it's letting me know really just how much I need to change. It's not about you changing or things outside
Right.
of you changing. It's about me changing. So my resistance, I mean, any resistance that I have puts me at a pause to go see how I'm moving. Like, oh, let me take a look at me.
Yeah.
I can check myself before I wreck myself. I always
Well,
say, right? That kind of thing. So really, like many of us here, I have experienced a lot of trial and tribulation, and I find it to be good that I've been through it, right? And I can
mm-hmm.
identify with it, saying that as I've matured, thank you, Billy. I must be really all excited about it. But as I've matured, I see the benefit of that stuff.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Wow. And it's talking about earlier when we were referring about if someone came and slapped me, would I turn the other cheek and all that? And I think too when we're in that higher vibration of love, engaging God at a higher level, that if something like that were to happen, that I also would recognize immediately that, okay, I'm one with this person. And so this thing that is happening that's being displayed as maybe anger toward me, it's like, okay, well, how do I transmute that into a space and place where I can help my brother, friend, person, whoever it is, understand they're loved. They're just as worthy as I am of anything. And to really just, and that's a whole freaking other level for most people. They have never, ever, most of them ever thought about that or been treated like that. And so it's like, how do we transmute? We be love. We are love. So we just need to be it in the presence of even those things, whatever they might be, person, place, circumstance, that is coming against me in some way, or that I perceive is coming against me in some way. So it's really a beautiful, beautiful place to be in that love. And I've been practicing it, and there's a lot of other people way, 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 way ahead of me. But I've been practicing it, and just the transition that I've been able to see over the last few years has been amazing, and I'm just excited to keep going deeper. Debbie, Larry, go ahead. Thank you, Janine.
Yes, with regard to the sound issues, I think it is probably where it's just cutting off. I think what's happening is it's just picking up through your speaker. You're coming across fine, but the people like talking just need muffled.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Norman. I don't know if there's any way to fix that, but I'm not going to try to fix it right now. And if we need to, we'll take down the recording and replace it. So, thank you, Larry.
But otherwise, yeah, I don't know.
Well, just in regards to what you just said, though, about I'm definitely not there. If someone slaps me on the cheek, I would respond in a way that is loving, so that my contribution to the encounter is loving. But I wouldn't necessarily
Right, right. No, I get it. I get it. But it is interesting that Jesus said, he didn't say turn and walk away. He said offer the other cheek. And when I think of that, if I were in, and I feel like I can speak to this to some degree because I feel like this weekend I really stepped into that space for a while, and that if someone had slapped me, that I would be thinking, how can I help you understand that you're loved? Do you need to slap the other side? And know that I'm not, at this point, at least, if I'm standing in that good place of love, that here's the other cheek. If this will help you so we can get into a conversation and that you can begin to see that you're loved and that I love you, even though you're going to do this to me, I'm still going to love you. I mean, you see Jesus' examples of that all over, the cross and not retaliating and saying, forgive them for they know not what they do. And, just a tremendous, letting go in order to show the people that he was going to love them. Come hell or high water, he's going to love them. No matter what they did to him, he was going to love them. And he did. And he did. That's beautiful.
I think the only way you can do that is because you're already standing in your higher self. You've already seen partially, if not all, of what they're struggling with. So you know that response is the response.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think Jesus is on us to put ourselves into
No. No.
And there's also a place of boundaries, right? That we would like to look at and a lot more about boundaries. But there's when we are. I've really in the last couple of weeks I've really been focusing on this idea of collective consciousness, right? Mind of Christ, the body of Christ, right? These phrases that I used to say like that, I'm now saying like this my higher self is the mind of Christ. We coming together as one is the body of Christ. So I'm transforming my language so that it means more than just a blanket statement of saying, my own biblical phrase.
Yeah.
I like that. And I'll stop my mouth.
Well, I was just going to add to that quickly that in the Christian paradigm, the idea of Christ consciousness is a bad word, bad phrase, and yet as we are going deeper and deeper, I mean, Richard Rohr, I'll tell you, I was about to leave the whole God Christianity thing, several years ago, and I just wasn't seeing Jesus in the picture at all. It just wasn't measuring up. I mean, this was years ago, and then I wound up, I've told you I don't read a lot at all because I just like to hear source and get everything from God Himself. I don't read a lot. I don't watch videos hardly at all. But at that point, I happened to be reading two books. And one was, I can't remember, it was a Christ consciousness book by Richard Rohr, and then another book called The Third Testament. And in both of those books, as I was reading them, I came to the same spot about Christ consciousness at the same time, independently, and my eyes were totally opened. But I can tell you, I have an extremely, completely different view of Christ consciousness. To me, Christ consciousness is love. It is the God particle. It is the energy of the universe. It is the essence of God. And when we step into that and we have the mind of Christ, that Christ consciousness, we're operating in the mind of God. And that's what Jesus did, and that's what He was teaching us and showing us how to do. It was beautiful.
And I'll say this for everybody else that's listening to this kind of thing. Just ask ChatGPT. This phrase in my Christianese, what is it in the quantum theory or quantum entanglement things? And so once you start looking at the energetic situation, the whole consciousness thing just really explodes.
Yeah.
I've actually really loved it. And
Yeah.
I see the whole Bible now through this idea of consciousness.
Yeah.
Huge story I was sharing. It is all there. It's either in the gematria with numbers, or it's literally in these spiritual words that a lot of times the church says put no meaning to, clouds and storms. Those mean a lot. Those are
Yeah.
that's what consciousness. And
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely amazing. And if you're brave enough or feel up to it, is even if you are confident in your relationship with God, then actually go outside and look and ask for, and what about other leaders of other religions? So do your Bible verse, do your quantum entanglement comparison, and then ask, are there other leaders in other religions that teach something similar? And you're going to find that God has been speaking to people all through the millennia, to different people, different times, giving them different language, right, Janine? Different language and different ways to say it. Anyway, the egregores and the programming, the pride of man, wanted to take it and put it into one box and say, oh, this group is the only one that has all the truth. And, for me, it's a little sad now when I look at it. But I do also want to just say I want to love and honor every religion, because it does carry truth. And I see people trashing the Christian church on Facebook so often, and I'm just like, people, let it go. Love this entity that has blessed us and brought us so far. It's kind of like the law being the teacher and bringing us so far. But there's a point where you get to graduate and move on and honor that which brought you as far as it did. And that includes trauma. Janine, go ahead. Thank you, Debbie and Larry.
So I just had the funniest experience because I had a thought and I raised my hand and then it went away and Zoom would not let me put my hand down. And so I finally was like, okay, I'm gonna quit trying to put my hand down, and then here we are at this part and I'm like, oh, okay, I know what we're saying. This space, like you said, God has just been meeting all of us where we're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been absolutely perfect from the moment that the words left his mouth. And when we say Christ consciousness, we often think of that in terms of when we are conscious of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what is Christ conscious of? I'm just saying, what is Christ? If we're going to look at it.
You've always been a piece and a part and never been forgotten.
It's already finished.
Yeah.
And it was all perfect. And we get to the day where every tear, this is our perspective because we do still see ourselves inside of time, is wiped away. Although, as Nicholas Acuna said in that one video with Justin Abraham, it's as if it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when the completion comes, all the rest of it falls away.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you, Janine. Someone just mentioned that they don't know what an egregore is, and I would. You can get my book. We've talked about it here quite a bit, but it's basically, you could say, a principality in power. But an egregore would be like your political system: Democrats against the Republicans. You've got two sides, something dividing people, and it takes on an energy of its own because people want to feed it their energy. So people are feeding the political egregore, because they are for Republicans and against the Democrats, or for Democrats and against the Republicans, and it's just a political egregore that people have fed it so much energy that it's basically taken on a life of its own. That is one. You've got financial. That's another egregore. You've got religions. Those are egregores. You've got family dynamics. Those are smaller egregores. You've got I'm going to step on Larry's toes for a moment. You've got football egregores putting people against one another, and these things exist because we give them energy. If we stopped giving them energy and attention, see, so wait a minute, double-minded there, Larry. You're doing that. No, I totally get it. Totally good. But anyway, so that's just a little bit. But I do, like I said, I have a chapter in my book that just came out that is dedicated to understanding egregores and the fact that we have all been sucked into them. We're all a part of them. But you can rise above them. You can rise above them and not continue to feed them your energy. So, all right, Maxine, I think you're next. Go ahead.
Well, as you're talking about being slapped
Mm.
can also have these
Mm.
verbal slaps.
Yeah,
So that's
definitely.
another
Definitely, and there are those who are very skilled in slapping you verbally, and you can walk away and not even know you've been slapped, and then realize, wait a minute, I think I was slapped. Those are kind of the dangerous ones sometimes, the subtle ones. But yes, you can also be slapped quite abusively, and just understand that you know, again, if you're enmeshed in anxiety and you're caught up in that, and you've been slapped verbally, and now you're wanting to respond, and you don't feel like you have control, probably not a time to try to transmute it into love. But if you see that, this is what I get. I do get that at different places, different times. I do get, I see people verbally lashing out at me, and most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, I kind of just step back in spirit, in my heart, my mind. I step back and I look at it, and I'm just like, huh, that's interesting. They just slapped me, and but I'm diffused from it. I'm not entangled in it, and and sometimes internally I'm saying, huh, you might want to work on that. There's a trigger in there somewhere. Evidently, I did something, or something's going on, and you're triggered, and it's showing by you lashing out at me right now. And, huh. But I don't have to respond most of the time. And believe me, this it happens, and I just smile, and because I don't need to respond. They're going through their thing right now, and if I can say something that might be helpful, I might do that. But in a lot of cases, I just think, yep, they just got to work through that. And they can be mad at me all they want to be mad at me. It's fine. That's good. Thanks, Maxine. John, go ahead.
Talking about Christ consciousness, I think everybody has Christ consciousness inside them.
Oh, they do. I believe it 100%.
We're not conscious of it, God consciousness or God.
Absolutely.
I think when we're absolutely conscious of Christ consciousness, that's when we love.
Yeah. Yeah, when we wake up and begin to engage with what's already inside of us, that I don't believe we can actually be alive without the Christ consciousness, but to wake up to it.
It's like how they see all of Christ all of
Yep.
without the Christ life, often says Christ is our life.
Yeah. And everything created, there's nothing created outside of him. So it's all in him.
The important thing is for us to be conscious of our consciousness.
Yeah.
That's what I guess that's what we refer to when people have their waking up,
Yeah.
becoming conscious of what is already inside.
Amen.
A lot of the pastors will say, well, everything that we need is inside of us.
Yeah.
Like a friend of mine.
Yep. It is. And it literally is. I mean, and Jesus said that, he was one with the Father, and we're one with him. So we're all one. It's already in us. Paul Paul says that he went out to preach Christ in you. He didn't go out to preach and get Christ in you. He went out to preach Christ is in you. Hey, everybody, wake up. Christ is in you. That's what he went to preach. Christ is already in each and every one of you. He wasn't going out trying to get Christ into people.
Christ appears, we will appear with him.
Mm-hmm.
He's not talking about the second coming.
Yeah.
He's talking about when you come to realize that Christ is in you, then you appear with him.
Amen. Good stuff. Thank you, John. June, go ahead.
I keep an image, my Christ consciousness, I keep an image of the body of Christ. You know the pictures, how many of you have seen a picture of a person, and when you look closer, it's made up of all these tiny mosaic pictures of people?
Yeah.
You ever seen that?
Yeah.
I
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if if I'm judging you or say something sarcastic to you, I'm saying it to Christ because you
You
are
are.
his body.
We are all one in that body. Yes.
Right. I mean, we're that new creation. We're
Yeah.
not us anymore. He's coming and being in us. When he raised us,
Mm.
we became a new creation, which was a whole new
Mm.
entity, something that had never been created. The one big body of God. That's
Wow.
how I see God and Christ and the Holy Spirit.
So good. Love that, June. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? We're about to wrap up here. Um, Deneen, you popped up in that corner where people have their hand up, and I'm looking. It's like I don't see your hand this time, though. So all right. So, I love all of you, and I would love to. If anybody's interested in learning more about the journey and the experience that many of us had this last weekend, why don't you email me, and I'll do that, privately with you, and just share with you. But I can tell you, it was one of the most dramatic experiences. I literally felt like I had a death to ego, and then I felt like I was dying physically, and then I felt like I was being born again, and I felt like I was a new creation. And this whole week has been a process of integrating that, and it's a process of how much from that experience can I hold on to carry with me permanently, and just continue that process. And it's like, wow, that was so deep, and I would love to continue to go deeper and deeper, because there is no end to it, right? And it's just wanting to understand the love of God and have that love permeate every cell of my being, as in the waking days, so I'm not just doing it here or there, but that it becomes a permanent part of me. And so if anybody is interested, I'll share that one-to-one, and just email me at gil@gilhodgesfreedom.com, and I'd be happy to share that with you. So, and apparently we'll have to pull down the postings, and I'll try to get a better recording up as soon as I can, and hopefully we have one somewhere. But all right, anything else from anybody else? All right, and I do believe we're good for next week. There's not like a holiday or anything, right? Let me just double check really quick. Make sure that the 23rd next week we are good. Yeah, that's the Thanksgiving weekend. I should be good for that. So if not, we will have something. So just be here. Somebody will be here. Hey, and you know what? If you all show up here one day and for some reason there's not one of the leaders here, somebody can just step in and just say, let's talk.
I was going to say, I think we can handle conversations.
I think you can.
It looks like you're recording on Zoom, so you should have a recording good.
Yeah, it started late. I didn't start it, so thanks to Evelyn, we got a recording there a little bit. And I do have another thing that's recording this, so ideally that is working, but oftentimes that's only recording. Whatever you hear on Facebook and YouTube is that's recording, so that one may not be working. So anyway, all good. Nothing is the end of the world except the end of the world, which I don't see that anytime soon.
Sue from England.
Sue, yes. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. We're back in the country. And I just spotted your invitation today, and I thought, oh, I must, because I've been following you on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know if I came up as next day, 2nd September. Maybe it's prophetic.
Maybe. Well, so glad to have you here, and you're always welcome. So, yeah, and reach out. Maybe we can catch up sometime. It's been a while. Bless you. Bless you. Thank you, Sue. All right. Love to you all. And Evelyn, you're going to carry forth, right, for the afterburn? All right. So Evelyn, Larry, and Debbie are going to continue with the afterburn. So if anybody wants to just remain right here on Zoom, we're just going to continue the conversation and go even deeper. It's not recorded, or excuse me, it's not going out on Facebook and YouTube. So feel free to share what you want to share and talk about what you want to talk about. So you can even talk about me behind my back. I love you all. Love you, love you. All right. We'll talk with you all next week, or reach out to me. We'll talk sooner. All right.